good. Well, good evening. Thank you all for attending tonight. It is Tuesday, August 18th. Before we call the meeting to order, I have asked my friend John Matthew to come and to lead us in prayer. He is the former pastor at Grace Presbyterian, and he may share what he's currently involved with, but I also know he's a good listening ear whenever you want to speak to him. So thank you for being here tonight, John. And when he finishes, then Bo Gentleman will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're able to and would like to, please stand.
Well, before I pray, I would like to make three observations. One, the flowers out front are absolutely gorgeous. And the yard itself, I think Billy has something to do with that. Yes. But kudos to the grounds department. The second thing, kudos to the school system at the speed with which they were able to lock down after the call, I think a 911 call. And thirdly, yesterday I had a heart cath and I had another stent. This is my second stent. Pastors have bad hearts and need stents more than most. But Dr. Hallisay went in through the arm. That's why I'm not shaking hands with people. And in a small community, it is a great privilege to have a health system that can function at that level. So we have much to be thankful for. So let's give thanks. Father, we do thank you for our community. I thank you for these men and women who serve in various ones, but certainly the city council and mayor and his and their administrative assistants. Thank you for fire and police and emergency, and Father, I could go on. And as we pray for our community, we think of Geraldine, we think of Fife, we think of Rainsville, we think of Henniger and Eider and Valley Head and Mentone, Collinsville and Crossville, and I'm sure there are a few I've left out. But Father, we do pray for our surrounding communities as well, for godly government, for wisdom, Father, for the provision they need that we might all work together for human flourishing. We do pray, Father, for two families in particular, certainly for Karen's sudden death. We lift them before you and ask that in the midst of grief, your presence would bring comfort, as well as friends who would be able to come alongside and help. And we're not at all forgetting, has in recent months also lost a beloved spouse and suddenly, and we pray for the Grant family as well. And now we would ask for wisdom, Father, a good sense of communication and all the things that need to take place, that you would be honored. Father, our community would be blessed, and we pray finally for our nation, for wisdom at that level, and all the many entanglements and issues are before us. Father, give wisdom and grace, humility, boldness and courage, as we ask it all for your glory in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. All right, attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have a quorum present tonight, so I will call this meeting to order. Again, thank you for attending. To begin with, gentlemen, you have as printed the minutes from our August 4th, 2026 meeting. Do I have a motion that we accept these minutes as printed?
So moved.
Motion by John. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Mike. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, the same. So carried. Next is the mayor's report.
Okay. We've got one item of business that we want to take care of. had several different employees retiring lately, and for as long as I can remember, and that goes a ways back, Lee Traylor has been part of the Fort Payne Police Department. And I can remember him from several years ago. But he has decided to go home on us. So we appreciate his 32 years of service that he's given to the city of Fort Payne. And I told him he wasn't going to get by too far, get away from us too far, because we were still going to pull him in and get him to help us do some stuff. So at this time, I would like to present Lee Traylor a plaque for his 32 years of service.
Speech. We need a little speech.
We do appreciate all of our previous employees, the time that they give to the city of Fort Payne. And as John made mention, these employees, we've got some of the best. Our grounds folks out here keeps this yard looking immaculate, and they do a fantastic job with that. Would like to report that, I don't know if it was the last council meeting or the council meeting before, that you guys authorized me to do appraisals for the Industrial Boulevard property and the Jacobway property. I have done those, got those appraisals done. The Industrial Boulevard property, which is roughly about 21 or 22 acres, it come in at 280,300. Jacobway property, which is about 55 acres, came in at 645,600. So if you'd like to see those.
Say the second one again, please.
645,600. And you're welcome to stop by my office and look at those appraisals. I also want to remind everybody, I reminded you the last meeting, that Boom Days is coming up on April where did April come from? September the 18th and 19th. That's Friday and Saturday. And our Friday night, we've just been able to announce our Friday night opener is Canyonland Band. That is Chris Roberts' band. They will be opening up on Friday night for Al Jardine and the Pet Sound Band, which will be playing songs from the Beach Boys. So we're excited about that. And then Saturday, of course, is the Malibus will be opening up, and Sarah Evans and Walker Montgomery will be the headliners on Saturday night. So make your plans to come and be part of Boom Days. It's going to be a fun time. It's a time that we couldn't do what we do without our sponsors, and we just want to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors, because without you, this wouldn't be what it is. And y'all have just showed out this year on sponsorship, and so we appreciate it. We need it to put this festival on and this event on, but it's going to be a fun time, so that you don't want to miss Boom Days 2026. And that's all I've got.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. And I want to echo Mayor in telling Lee thank you personally. Haven't been in this position very long, most of us up here except for John, but thank you for your service to our city, and thank you for what you did, and wish you well in your future endeavors. Next, we are going to have citizen participation. One of the items, or actually both of these, we're going to consider tonight as ordinances, but we allow citizen participation after we have introduced these in the last meeting on August 4th. So the first one is discussion to create a new zoning district, which will be called R1A, which is Neighborhood Residential district. And just flipping back to your pages, gentlemen, it's the orange tab. It's the Planning Commission has agreed on the proposed creation of a new residential district areas for low-density detached dwellings. And the intent of this, under Section 1, the intent of the R1A district is to provide areas for low-density detached dwellings free from incompatible land uses and residential densities. I'm going to ask Nick Brown, and I have before now, just to speak to this, but just some of the highlights under R1 currently, that is an ordinance in our city. Under R1, the minimum square footage house has to be 1,100 square feet, and the lot size is 15,000 square feet. Under R2, your minimum square footage for the house is 600 square feet, and your lot size is 10,500. Under the proposed R1A, it would kind of combine parts of that. The requirement of 1,100 square foot would still be a minimum, R1A, but the lot size would be 10,500 square feet. Did I miss any of that, Nick?
You got that right.
Okay, thank you. So I've asked Nick if he would come to the podium and just to speak, before we have citizen participation, just what got us to this point, and thank you for the Planning Commission's work and what you've put together in this.
Yes, sir. So when I moved in this position in the zoning, June 3rd of 2025, immediately started seeing issues with our zoning, issues with developers wanting to come and develop some affordable housing. And this gives us the option to control the house size, the lot size, and keep in mind, this is all minimum. This is a minimum. We've spoke to D.R. Horton a few times. They're looking at more of a 16, 17, 1,800 square foot home they're wanting to build. Most likely a 80 foot to 90 foot wide lot, but this would help them with the setbacks and help them to be able to actually create a subdivision and actually come out ahead, because right now the cost of everything are so high. And Tim and I, we talked this week and we put some costs together just to kind of give you an idea. Road construction nowadays, road construction for a subdivision. This is completely for new subdivisions. I want to make that clear. This has a 3 acre minimum on the lot size or acreage. So you must have 3 acres and you must be available to city sewer to even be able to consider to rezone to this property. And I want to remind the public too that if this does pass, any new property, any developers coming in, this would have to pass the Planning Commission, and it would also have to pass the City Council meeting to be able to zone to this. But with these companies that are coming in wanting to develop and build, they're going to do all this themselves. But the average cost of a road development, keep this in mind, is $33 for a linear foot. So you're looking at $33,000 for a 1,000-foot road. And a 1,000-foot road in a subdivision is not that much. And so right there, right off the bat, and that's just for materials. So you got to count in labor costs too. You got to count in labor. And then your water pipe, sewer pipe, your underground power, all that PVC has doubled in the past 5 years. So where 5 years ago, if you were lucky and got a good price on some property on a parcel that you wanted to develop, and you could develop yourself with a R1, you could actually come out and make some money on it. Nowadays, everybody's like, hey, we can't do that in rural farm, and we can't do that in R1. And so when I get the phone calls with the past year and a few months now, they're asking, hey, what's the odds of getting something rezoned to a smaller lot size that we can build on? And so this would help. This would help promote some growth and development, promote some housing, where we can control the lot size and we can control the house size to it. And we just did a minimum of 1,100 square feet.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Y'all have any questions?
You have any questions right now of Nick?
Nick, take the west side of town for example, what's a normal size lot? 50 by 100?
The west side is mostly R1, and so we have a small lot overlay. in Fort Payne. And that runs from 22nd Street South at the Rock Quarry to Beeson Gap and 22nd Street North. And it runs all the way from Lincoln Avenue over to the interstate. So anything downtown falls under the small lot zone, which decreases your setbacks and makes your lot size where you can build on a smaller lot, which is, most of them are laid out from the late 1800s, early 1900s to a 50-foot by either 90 or 100. And so that is downtown. Now, that is strictly downtown lots.
And what's the square footage on, minimum square footage on a house?
Right now, in R1 is 1,100. In R2, which is more of your east side of Fort Payne, is 600, is the minimum house size. And also keep in mind the minimum house size in Rural Farm right now is 600.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else?
Rodney, did I miss anything?
No, it just go down to 75-foot frontage instead of 100.
Well, I understand, I'm just
Yeah.
clarifying.
Yeah, and also if you look at the comprehensive plan for the city that was done a few years ago, I think y'all have had that and read it. The number one issue that we ran into was housing. And that is a huge problem right now. And I've got two teenagers that, unlike me, I like to have a couple acres of property. They don't want that. They like to, our younger people, they want a smaller yard and a smaller lot size to take care of, and also being able to afford that. Something that we could have afforded 10 years ago is totally off the charts now. So everything's almost doubled and tripled. So this would hopefully promote some affordable housing for our younger families to be able to move into and own their own home.
Thank you, Nick.
Yes, sir.
So at this time, we'll open it up for citizen participation. We've got a full room. I don't know who all is planning to speak, but to begin with, I'll limit everybody to 2 minutes per person. Have your points ready, make those points, and then as time allows, you may be allowed to come back up. So who would like to begin? Come on up. Mr. Howard? And do you have a printout?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I gotta say at first, when I first heard about this, I had a negative response, but I did a little research, and it turns out it's not at all what I thought it was initially, so I've changed my entire attitude about it. But I pulled this up. It's a proposal that I'd like you guys to consider adding to your R1A.
Adding to what is proposed.
Right. And it's
Thanks.
basically just standards. It's just standards, really. It's basically what I'm looking at is, well, for one thing, I'm a little curious as to, I've heard this housing issue a lot, right? And I did a little research today, and what I'm looking at is 847 current vacant housing units exist in the city of Fort Payne. 847 vacant housing units. Now, my source is ChatGPT, so, okay, well, it's got some good sources here, and it's not making things up. It says that's not a number that is absolutely 100% correct, but if we just did half of that, I got a question kind of why, where's this housing shortage coming from if we have so many vacant units? If we have half of that, we've got 400 vacant units. So I just question what the need is for this to begin with. But if you guys decide we need it, that's fine. I don't really object to it so much. But I think that there must be standards in place, especially when you border it against existing neighborhoods. So if you put an R1A up against an R1, you don't want to have, you don't want to change the character and identity of one neighborhood just to install another neighborhood.
All right.
So,
The time's up, Mr. Howard, just for the sake of allowing everybody else to speak. But the main points I got, and this is a good printout, you're concerned about the buffer, basically between like an existing ordinance, say R1, to what a new ordinance area would be R1A. You'd
Right.
just like a buffer put in place.
Right.
Perhaps we'll have time to come back to you, if that's okay?
sure.
And Nick was, or also Richard could answer this. Was there any discussion around buffer? Put in, okay. Okay, all right. So that'll be well taken, well noted, and we can discuss this and possibly,
And one of the things that I want to point the most about a buffer is the landscaping part.
mm-hmm,
Buffer sounds a little harsh,
okay,
but the landscaping is the thing that I think this whole city needs. And you guys need to look at landscaping on the big picture, not just R1A, R1. It's a big picture issue, but it's part of this and it
Yeah.
coincides with this.
yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, who would be next? Dr. Brett?
Real quick, Nick asked me to speak on a couple things from my perspective on this. And what he's passing out, you can read later, but it's an updated economic overview report of DeKalb County. And I did this last year for the first time, about this time for the previous council, and wanted to give you guys an update. The high points are that in Fort Payne, we have a population of just under 15,000, but we also support approximately 14,741 jobs, which is a pretty strong factor to be almost 1-for-1 for humans, including children and folks who maybe couldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Total employment grew by more than 1,200 jobs over the past 4 years. Manufacturing remains our largest industry, employing nearly 4,000 people, and it's at more than 3 times the national concentration. Average annual wages are currently, this was as of the end of Q1 of this year, $52,949. And they've increased 5.3% just over this time last year. And Fort Payne's cost of living is about 18% below the national average. There's a point why all that kind of ties into the discussion today. What I have with me is our Elevate DeKalb strategic plan that we just adopted in April. It's our countywide economic development plan. And in the front, we have 10 priority outcomes for what we're to work on for the next 10 years. Number 8 is pursue a variety of market rate workforce housing options to keep existing industry labor forces full and provide the necessary living space for future employers, to include multifamily complexes, townhome developments, single-family neighborhoods, executive home sites, and mixed-use communities. And that was informed by a detailed housing analysis that our consultants did and our team did. And I'll just kind of summarize, paraphrase a piece of it. It said, demand continues to grow from metro area in-migration, retirees, young families, and expanding employers seeking proximity for their workforce. To sustain economic growth, DeKalb County must pursue mixed income and workforce housing incentives, partner with private developers on townhome and multifamily projects, modernize zoning to allow appropriate density, expand sewer infrastructure in priority corridors, and promote senior housing models that meet market demand. That analysis was supplemented by just one point from our survey that we did, a public survey for a month that was out online. One of the questions was, what do you think are the top barriers to entry for people who want to work but can't? There were 10 categories to choose from, and one of the top 3 was housing availability / affordability, with 36% of respondents marking that. So I just wanted to highlight those things, and I'll just scattered throughout this plan, it's housing, 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 housing from an economic development standpoint. And it backs up what we found in the, I was about to say Grow Gadsden, the Fort Payne Forward Plan as well. And my point is this, you know, it's a great tool to have an additional zone that you can implement where it makes sense. This one sounds like it preserves the character of a single-family neighborhood while offering flexibility specifically for what Nick mentioned, younger families, you know, starting up in their career, trying to own a home or even rent a home. You can't really deal with affordability as a family or even a single person trying to build your life until you can have access to something. You got to deal with availability first. So I like the idea of having a tool available to the city, and that's just kind of my perspective on the recommendation.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Brett. Next. Ms. Tina?
I apologize, I don't have reports and all that stuff. It's
That's fine.
more like common sense, I guess. As of right now, according to our current Valley MLS, there's approximately 100 homes on the market that are ready to be bought by families or individuals or whoever. That is not counting the for sale by owners, and that is not counting apartments. That's not counting investors that have their homes flipping, making them available. I have to disagree personally with all due respect to Nick and everyone else in here, that I believe the affordability is a word that we're using very lightly. Affordability comes from whatever the buyer and seller can decide that the value of affordability is in housing. And unfortunately, it's not the developers that are going to be passing the affordability down to that new person that's buying that home. If there's any profits there to be made, I truly believe it will not be passed on. In a new construction on 1,100 square foot house right now with a single car garage, you're looking at a $220,000, $225,000 value. That is your customary affordability of what Fort Payne, new homeowners, even retirees that are coming in that don't want a big yard, but they do like to have that 15,000 square feet of area as their minimum yard. I disagree. We all can agree to disagree respectfully that we already have an ordinance with 1,100 square feet in it, single family. If someone wants to build and develop, then they need to raise the price in order to get the profit they want. We've all done it. All the developers that are our neighbors that have lived here, grew up here, have done it for years. I did it 22 years ago. It is costly today to develop. However, if you want to leave that 1,100 square feet there, maybe the city, our departments, might want to help on some of that cost for our developers to be able to make it more affordable for homeowners. And don't put it all on the developers. But I can't agree with changing to add an R1A when you've still got 1,100 square feet, just to save, maybe to get another one for the developer to be able to make money. If it's gonna be affordable housing, it should be to the people that are buying. Sorry, I don't have no numbers.
That's good. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who would be next?
Check today, the brand new house is going up on Godfrey Avenue, 1,500 square feet is $300,000.
I stand correct on that. It's 9,275. I think it's 9,275.
Is anyone else prepared to speak in our citizen participation on this? right, has everyone made their? Okay. Mr. Neal?
I don't have fancy reports either, and I'm not in the residential real estate business anymore. But every time you get on social media, you hear about the citizens wanting things for kids to do in this area. Every day. In order to get the things for kids to do in this area, you gotta have more rooftops. And of the vacant homes that are out here, how many of them are livable? How many of them need dire need for repairs? I think you've got to do something to encourage some new homes in this area.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you all for participating in that. Got a myriad of views and opinions, so we appreciate the feedback and the concern from our citizens for that. Next item under citizen participation is discussion to rezone 3478 Wallace Avenue Northeast from rural agricultural to M1 light industrial. And this would be entertained later under ordinance 2026-13. So this is the property that we discussed last meeting, gentlemen, on August 4th. This family is looking or would like to manufacture ammunition to be distributed and sold from this property. So, but first, this would have to be rezoned. It is currently rural agricultural, and it would have to be rezoned to M1 light industrial. Would anybody like to speak on behalf of this? Come ahead.
I'm Brian Vaughn, the property owner there.
Yes, thank
Figured
you.
you guys would probably want to hear from me.
Yes, thank you. We
Have you
do.
guys had a chance to look at my resume and whatnot?
Oh,
It's kind of I think it was emailed to you, sort of my credentials on that matter. And I just really wanted to answer any questions you guys may have, if you have any.
Is your plan to eventually have a storefront?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what
In fact, I'm in that may happen sooner rather than later. I'm talking to a few companies, but one in particular right now, and we may get an entire ammo contract for them. That would put me almost at the point of needing to do that anyways. I don't see this being a super long-term thing. I think the point is to move down and get a build. Like every time I would do that, it's probably an add-on of 5,000 square feet. So if I got 2 or 3 of those, we're in need of 15,000 square feet pretty quickly. So, and of course that brings on, we'll call 5 employees per, you probably need 15 employees at that point. So that's within the realm of possibility. I can't say when that would exactly happen, but that's kind of the goal.
If that were to be the case, do you have enough room now at your current property to
Oh,
keep
no.
doing that? Okay.
No. I have a small shop, and I think the whole idea for me doing this here was to establish things, get, start doing it here, and then grow into something, when the time comes. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you do the storefront, it probably will not be at your home location.
No, I would start there and then move into a building, and I don't see any reason I would be going back. So,
Any plans for a firing range?
no plans for a firing range. We do some minor testing. Like we have a test barrel shop, or like up in my house right now, I shoot into a berm, and I use Doppler radar technology, so I shoot past it, gives me a velocity, which you need to do when you're loading ammo. You have to match certain velocities, but as far as shooting, recreationally, no, stuff like that. And I wouldn't be doing shooting very often. In terms of loading ammo, you really do it one time and then you kind of know. So.
Could you let the public know where your property's at in relation to other areas, just so they know where we're talking about?
It's on 35, going across the mountain. And I guess the best thing, there's a white church on the left. I think it's New Canaan or something. And my property is the very next left at the bottom of the hill.
As you're going toward the canyon?
That's correct. So then when you look off the road, you can't even see my house. It sits way back up on the hill, and then everything would be up there on top of the hill. So no one would really know. It's just, it's pretty good like that.
And what's the size of your property?
How much? 10.
10 acres, okay. Because at the point you moved, say you grew and moved to another location downtown, like a storefront, this would remain, light industrial. And would you still be doing any production at that location?
That's not the plan. I mean,
Okay.
if I moved here, I would have to, it would be a significant move. I would say there's, I'd have to get an FFL address and a license in there, and then transfer it to the new building. Once I do all that, though, it kind of eliminates your ability to do things there, just because of that.
Yeah.
So it would be one place or the other place.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yes. We just had several questions. so
Oh, yeah, okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? All right, thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
And then, if anybody else would like to speak towards this?
But it's just beyond Pumpkin Center Road. On
Okay.
that same side.
Okay.
Several miles.
Several miles
Yeah, it's
past
way
this.
past that.
Yeah.
It's way past you.
It's past that.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Less than 100 yards.
All right, if there's no further discussion on this, we will now move to ratification of bills, being this is the second meeting of the month. So we need a motion to ratify and pay the bills for this month. Do we have a motion to do that?
Motion to ratify
Motion
and
by
pay the
Bo
bills.
to ratify, and do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Richard. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same. All right, so carried. Next, we move into ordinances and resolutions. First one is Resolution 2026-22. This is a resolution declaring certain public works vehicles as surplus. We have done a good bit of this recently based on the program that we're on currently. Gentlemen, you have a copy printed in your booklet. Thank you, Brandy, for putting this together for us. So we have several vehicles and then one scraper that's listed at the bottom, a 1995 scraper, but a lot of these are late 90s models, early 2000s. And this has been presented to us as surplus. Do we have a motion for this resolution 2026-22?
Make a motion.
Motion by John. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Bo. Do we have any discussion as far as surplus vehicles or equipment? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? All right, so carried. Resolution 2026-22. Next one is ordinance 2026-12. This is an ordinance to create new zoning district, R1A, neighborhood residential. We had our first reading at our last meeting, August 4th. Then we had citizen participation tonight. So we need to either entertain a motion to vote on this, or is there any discussion as far as?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, in light of the buffer and all that, I was
Yes.
gonna ask Nick if it's, the building's not on fire. I don't know that we have to decide that tonight. We may wanna, not that we're disagreeing with the planning commission,
Right.
but we may wanna just look at some of the information that was brought forward tonight, just to do our due diligence.
Get it tightened up.
Move it to a work session.
Well, no, just kick it back to, I guess, wouldn't we just, Nick, couldn't we just discuss the buffers and all that, and then if we wanted to change anything, bring it back for next meeting? That's not a big issue, is it? Right, I mean, that's,
Okay.
I mean, that's just my thought.
Yeah, and when is y'all's next meeting? Is that set?
September.
September 8th, because we are meeting on the 1st, so that would be, okay, the 8th, all right? good discussion, good comment as far as the buffer, and thank you, Mr. Howard, for bringing that printed out version. I would like that looked at as well. Any other discussion or comments towards this?
I would just add, if we do give any consideration to landscaping or anything else, it should probably apply to other areas besides R, like, other than just R1A, right? If it's gonna be discussed, potentially gets added to.
Adds to everything.
Yeah. Good point, Bo. Anyone else? All right. Chad, do we need a motion to table this, or how do we proceed? Let's entertain a motion to table this then, based on Richard and Bo's comments, until a date further in the future, and not vote on this tonight. Do we have a motion for that?
Motion to table.
Motion by John to table. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Richard. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same. All right, so carried. Next is ordinance 2026-13. This is an ordinance to rezone 3478 Wallace Avenue Northeast from rural agricultural to M1 light industrial. And we heard from the property owner tonight. Do we have any discussion around this, or would we like to entertain a motion?
Motion to proceed with it. to
So,
rezone.
a motion
Second.
by Mike and a second by
John?
John. All right, any discussion on this? All right, sounds clear cut. Thanks for presenting. So we have a motion by Mike, second by John. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The same. All right, so carried. That's ordinance 2026-13. And you can just follow up with City Hall tomorrow. Mhm. Last one is, next one, ordinance 2026-14, an ordinance to amend M1 Light Industrial District, M2 General Industrial District with conditional uses regarding the regulation of data centers and battery energy storage systems as conditional uses within the M2 General Industrial District. An amendment to the M1 Light Industrial District will also be discussed to remove the word electronics from the permitted uses section 44-333 of the zoning district. And this is our first reading. Gentlemen, you will find this printed from the Planning Commission and the work they've done on this so far. Nick, are you prepared to speak toward this, since this is a first reading, or how would you like us to?
I don't care to do it tonight, or we can do it at the next meeting.
Okay,
Whatever y'all want to do.
okay, all right. Could you give us some highlights, basically, of what we're looking
Yeah,
at?
explain the remove electronics.
Yeah.
So the M1, we're not technically removing the word electronics. We're adding electronics component manufacturers.
I see that.
That would include like Heritage Wiring Harness. So we don't, we want to take the word electronics out, because that could be so broad that somebody could use that for a data center or anything like that, right? Because the word is so broad and the definition. So we want to change that in the M1. We want to add in the M1 that a accessory data center would be added to the permitted use. And that, if you look in the definitions, we're also having to amend the definitions under section 44.1 of our zoning ordinance that would add all this in. It would add the accessory data center, hyperscale, medium, micro. It would add the battery energy storage systems in. And then in the M2, it would add in everything but the accessory data center in as a conditional use. And so y'all know with the conditional use, that has to go before the zoning board of adjustments to be discussed in a public forum like this, and to take public comment if anybody ever wanted to petition to bring one in. And then the requirements that are there, environmental studies, your noise impact studies, water power consumptions. We put everything in that we could think of. And also, we have stipulations in there if they do not follow our rules and regulations. Let's say that somebody wanted to put a medium scale data center in and they didn't do what they were supposed to, or the noise levels exceeded what we required, we could pull that conditional use and shut them down. So there's a lot of stiff penalties in there. I encourage the public to read over this. I encourage all of y'all to check it out. We worked really hard on this with the planning commission to put it together, and here's the thing. In 5 years, it could change. In a year, it could change, and we might have to go in and update it. But we have the responsibility to do that. We have the availability to do that if we need to, so.
But right now, currently, we don't have anything protecting us like this would.
That's right.
Correct.
So this kind of folds in the existing industry, especially with the storage, battery storage system.
That's right. So we don't want to limit what we have or limit an industry that wanted to come here, that used electronics or robotics to operate their systems. That's where we added the accessory data center in that would be like on that property used for that specific, that specific company. And so if you look in the definitions, the definition of an accessory data center is in there that is, like I said, for that specific company, and it cannot be used for anything else. It cannot be used for the coin mining or anything like that. So I like it. I think we did good. I think the planning commission did a really good job of vetting it. We took a lot of public comments on it. This is what we got.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. Yeah, I want to echo that. Great job putting this together. I encourage the citizens to get a copy of this. It will be available at City Hall, so come pick up a copy, look through it, read over it, and then we will have citizen participation on Tuesday, September 1st related to this, and then we will entertain this ordinance. Any other comments, anybody?
I just think the planning commission has done a phenomenal job. I mean, there's a lot of unknown, and we're in uncharted territory with this, but we were the third municipality in the state to issue a moratorium, and we're maybe only the second to actually come up with a plan, and it's a really good one. So
Yeah.
I just encourage you to
Yeah, I
take a
think so
look
too.
and give us your feedback.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. All right. So that was first reading of ordinance 2026-14. All right, next item is ordinance 2026-15. This is also a first reading. An ordinance to amend rural farm district ordinance, adding manufactured homes to permitted uses. Gentlemen, you have that printed as well.
Nick, go over why this is important that we get this done.
Okay.
Because
so-
we're kind of, I don't know if we're vague right now or too strict right now on replacements.
Well, right now, manufactured homes are in a permitted use
Right.
in rural farm. We have no age limitations on a mobile home right now, or manufactured home. So the manufactured homes, I think the date changed on that like 1975, 1976, according to HUD. So what we had discussed, I think back in March, one of our council meetings, we talked about the mobile homes in the community and that's in the residential areas. We have a few that's in the rural farm area that are trees that are growing around them and they've just been vacant for a while. And so this would help. We put the age limit on that, and also in our non-conforming, we went in and totally updated the non-conforming ordinance with manufactured homes that would allow the removal of those before this change. If we vote on this before the change, like in an R2 zone right now, if you have a mobile home manufactured home in an R2 zone and you wanted to update it, you can bring a new one in. And so, like I said, you know, a lot of our R2 is the east side of town. There's some up around 14th Street, 13th, 14th Street North. It's kind of spotty if you look on the zoning map, but this would allow us to update that to where you can only replace it if it is owner occupied, and it's like natural disaster, fire damage, anything like that. We don't want to move somebody out of their home. But if this is a rental and it gets damaged, we want to be able to control what's coming back in. And so right now, the way our ordinance is, you can literally buy a 1976 model mobile home and move it in to an R2 area. You can move it into a rural farm area. And so we had discussed that, and we discussed it at the planning commission meeting. and we came up with a limitation of 10 years or newer from the date of, that they wanted to move it in, if somebody, you know, did. And this pertains also to our mobile home parks, manufactured home parks.
There's also the minimum 1 acre.
Yeah, so that's the same.
Okay.
That is current.
Okay.
The minimum of 1 acre right now is still current. A minimum distance of 200 feet
Mm-hmm.
from any other existing house or structure, that's remaining the same. The
Okay.
only thing that we are changing is the age limitation in rural farm.
10 years or newer.
That's right.
Okay.
So, and that's just in an effort to try to help update what's coming into the city.
Okay. The footage.
200.
200 feet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's current. That's not changing. So, like I said, the only thing we're changing right now in the rural farm zoning district is the age limitation.
Okay. All right. Any comments or questions? Thanks once again.
You're very welcome.
All right, so that is first reading. Please get a copy of this at City Hall at any time, and we will entertain citizen participation on this September 1st as well. Next one and last one is 2026-16, first reading as well, an ordinance amending definitions of ordinance 2008-04-15. What are we looking at here, Brandy?
Todd, that should be our definitions and the non-conforming
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
in the ordinance. So when-
Okay, I see it.
Yeah, when we are adding the data centers and battery energy storage systems to our ordinance, that falls under the definitions. The mobile home updates come under a non-conforming. And then the actual zoning district, like the rural farm, the M1, the light industrial, or the medium industrial, that's
green.
they're all separate in our ordinance.
Yeah, that's right. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we will look over that and study that more. This is first reading. We got this printed to us this week, so we will study that and then also entertain that as far as a participation on September 1st. Okay. Next, that's all as far as ordinances and resolutions. Next item is continued business. And under continued business, we are going to continue discussing lodging tax. We have talked about this over several months. We introduced this and talked about lodging tax, potentially increasing that here in our city. We also had John Dersham come speak on behalf of the DeKalb Tourism, and also we've had other comments as well to us individually. And let's revisit this. And are there any discussions around this lodging tax that we've discussed?
Grant, remind us what each one penny was, 1% was?
Each percentage is about $100,000 of revenue. So obviously, any increase is better than what we're getting right now. So whichever number you guys decide is up to y'all.
And we're currently at 7 cents, and
City tax, yeah.
overall including state is 14.
That's right.
14. And you gentlemen have a Alabama Department of Revenue lodging tax report for the month of August, and it gives you your breakdown, different municipalities and cities across our state and counties. So you have that information in front of you. I believe there's been some consensus just in our discussions openly about the need to increase this. So any other discussion, or do we have a motion?
Well, we talked about earmarking a lot of the.
Yes.
The new income in from projects that we desperately need as far as recreation.
Grant, on the SBRs or, short-term rental properties, we have, which is increasing, how do we collect, like Airbnb and those things, I know a lot of them, do they collect the
They-
lodging tax and they send it to us?
Well, they send it to the state, since the state collects our tax for us.
Okay, and then so that's being monitored, not necessarily by us, but by the state, so there's
Correct,
no.
yeah. Well, no, I mean, we can, the same way if a business isn't paying a sales tax, we can request that the state audit them or look into it.
Right.
And that's the benefit of why the state collects our tax, so that we don't have to enforce it. They do. you know.
Right. I was just curious how. So you don't know the breakdown of how much we're getting from like our hotels versus short-term rental?
I don't. I could dig in and maybe find out.
I'm just curious.
You bear in mind, we lost the hotel.
Right.
Anybody else?
I think we need to increase somewhere between 2 and 4% to stay in line with where things are now. And it's one of the few levers we have to pull to drive the top line that does not directly impact our residents.
Correct.
I like the idea that somebody else is paying this, not our citizens.
If we go 4%, we're gonna be probably as high as anybody in the state.
So 2 or
4
3?
cents. We would be from 14 total to 18. And there's a range of some up to 20 cents.
Well, if we go up 3, Albertville's sitting at 10 and we're sitting at 7. So if we go up 3, we're in line with Albertville.
Yeah, we get compared to them all the time.
It's true.
So I was just looking at the ones that, there's, I see a few at 8, 9, 10, 11, but not a lot.
You feel better with 2?
See, I agree with you, except I would be more in the 3 or 4 cent myself.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do this,
We're gonna do it
do it once and,
and be done with,
yeah.
not have to revisit it 5 years from now. What do you want? What do you think?
Oh, I'm just kicking it around. I just don't wanna make it. Now, I know we've discussed last time, we said,
Yeah.
you don't know until you check out and you say, oh, gosh almighty, I just paid whatever amount of dollars, but we'd like to have some return, folks. You know what I mean? I wouldn't wanna get to the point where you felt like, now, I don't know that it would.
Right.
I mean, I don't look at it till the end either. Nobody bases their lodging on what you pay in that town, I doubt very seriously. That don't mean, that would, I don't know, I'm like John, I feel like we need, at least if whatever we do, we need to make sure we earmark it. I don't wanna vote it up a penny unless, just to go to the general fund. I'd like to say we're gonna, I
Do
wish we
something
had a
complete.
project or something we could put it towards, so when that was completed, then we could move that money over to general fund or the next project. I'd like to have a plan more than, we're just gonna earmark it. You know what I mean? In my opinion, before we just say, well, we're going up 4%. Because it'd be easy to convince me of that if I thought we were, putting it towards something that, then when we meet that goal, we move on to the next one or whatever.
I'm pretty sure we could spend it.
Oh, yeah, no doubt you can spend it.
Grant?
I wouldn't drive to Chattanooga to save $3 on a room.
No, you wouldn't.
Grant, how much, we've discussed before, kind of, say on a basic night, how much difference?
I just did the calculation a second ago on $150 room is $21 a lodging tax currently. If you went up 4 cents, it's 27. So you're talking about $6 even if you went up 4%. So.
Four.
Yeah. That was based on 4.
And as far as earmarking it, I mean, if we just blanket earmark it for recreation for the time being, it's going towards a pool. We already know that. I mean, we'll get into that more in budget talks, but,
We're looking, 5 years out, we're looking new rec center and,
right,
you know, we've got to have income from somewhere.
right. The more cash flow, the better as far as floating the bond for a rec center, so.
I don't think that it should be strictly rec as far as to the department. It should be where the council, mayor and council can assess it's a rec-related project, but as it goes, because without calling a name, certain projects that me and David are well aware of were funded years ago and to be built, and once they're built, and strangely, they're still collecting, it's been long built. So we don't want to just earmark it to one department, but
Yeah, we
as a,
use it as we need it.
as the city progress towards community recreation, period.
Claire had her hand up.
I would increase it and earmark it to a community project. That's a smart idea and get buy-in from citizens, knowing that our #1 industry is helping fund projects that are gonna benefit everybody.
Like recreation, you agree with the recreation also?
Sidewalks, beautification, I love the landscape idea. That was the #1 thing we noticed leaving from Auburn and Appalachia. You can't walk from point A to point B because there's no sidewalks. So that would be anything like that that can make the community more livable, I think would be received well.
Okay.
I would just add that if you are gonna increase it, that you increase it enough to what you wanna do, because it, in hindsight, you know, you're gonna say, well, we should have upped it 4%, we just went to 2. So I would really, you know, make sure that you get that right number.
Okay.
Make a motion for 4% increase.
4 cents,
Can I ask a
correct?
question?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
please? So, if we do this, which I said I'm not opposed to raising it, I don't know that, I mean, we say going direct, or can we meet back, or after we do budgets or whatever, and say, hey, this is what we're gonna do with that, so that people know that it just didn't say, well, they just sent it direct?
Yeah, I mean, we would make the resolution blanket to the rec
Right,
department,
right.
probably capital line item. But, you know, y'all as a committee, you know, that's you and Bo's committee.
Right.
You know, y'all are gonna know what's going in the budget for that, you know, earmarked money.
Okay, I mean, I just don't wanna just leave here tonight and say we
Yeah.
raised 4%, it's just going to the rec. Brent may buy him a new truck with it.
Well, we got a
Yeah,
$2 million
he's
fire
got a
truck
limit.
coming up pretty soon.
He got a
The next
limit
couple of
truck,
years,
yeah.
we're gonna need too.
I'm not just gonna give Brand a check. Y'all are still gonna have to approve it, so.
I'm not, to agree with Ms. Claire back there, and what we're talking about, like I say, I don't think it should be earmarked to any one department, rec or other. It should be for the council and mayor to decide. Like I say, the pool's probably the first, and that is rec department.
Yeah, we
But like
can
if-
earmark it year to year. We
If
can
they,
change that
if
resolution
the city
every time.
decides that we need another sidewalk or whatever, and it can't be paid for some other way, and I'm just picking it out of the air.
Yeah.
That it's not just earmarked for the one thing,
Right.
and we can't change it without a lot of hoopla.
Yeah, project-based for the community.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, we
anything.
can write the resolution however you want, you know, if you wanna dedicate it to a department, or if you wanna do it something like that, whichever. But that resolution can change at any time, whenever y'all wanna change it.
I'm good with it.
All right, so we have a motion currently from John to increase the lodging tax 4 cents, and that would all go toward the city's portion. And that would be earmarked, along with your motion, John, earmarked toward recreation, to be determined.
To be determined as, use as needed, just to blanket
Yes,
it, you know.
correct. So a motion by John for 4 cent increase to lodging tax. Do we have a second for this?
Second.
Second by Bo. Let's do roll call. So John, you're a yes.
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
I'm a yes.
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 Yes, so it's unanimous. We are going to increase lodging tax 4 cents. All right. Now, that's all of continued business. Next is new business. We have on here on the agenda, Community Development Board dissolution. So there was discussion around us dissolving a particular board that has been in place for many years. And the actual name
Community Development Authority.
Community Development Authority, CDA. This was established in the early 2000s with the sole purpose initially for the Lowe's project. This board has been inactive, and the actual members on this board, their terms have expired. But in speaking with Dr. Brett Johnson, he had a thought as far as maybe not totally dissolving this board. So I've asked Mr. Brett if he would come up and just share with the council and to the public a good reason to potentially keep this in place.
Todd, while he's coming up, I made a mistake on the agenda. It's actually the commercial development.
Commercial,
board.
sorry.
So I just wanted to correct my mistake.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to recommend looking at keeping this on the books. I know it was, as we're told, it was set up to facilitate the Lowe's deal, and that's probably the case, and has been largely inactive since. But unfortunately, none of us were really around or involved in making those decisions at that time. So, taking a fresh look at what can it be used for? What are the tools that we could leverage that maybe haven't been leveraged in the past? And part of the argument, too, is Amendment 772 to the state constitution was passed in 2004, and that gave cities broader authority as a council, as a governing body, to do economic development deals. And while that's true, it doesn't necessarily mean the 772 process and the city council process is the perfect method to make deals happen or not every single time. So my perspective, just generally speaking, is this is an authority that we would like to have and maybe even not need it, then need it one day when there's an opportunity on the horizon and we don't have it anymore. And some examples of other cities that have used their commercial development authority since Amendment 772 was passed. I gave you all a couple of these. One is Atmore. In 2007, they did a River Cane shopping center development that included a Holiday Inn Express. Oxford in 2009 developed their Sam's Club and Oxford Exchange that probably a lot of people here are familiar with. And then in Irondale in 2014, their commercial development authority managed a property that is owned by the Commercial Development Authority and then leased to IBML, which is an information capture technology company. It's a software related company. So the flexibility of a commercial development authority allows some property development, property ownership. Usually it looks like leasing it to a private company that then creates jobs and pays taxes and does all the great things that they probably wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. For whatever reason, it makes more sense to acquire or manage the real estate through this authority rather than directly as a private entity or even as a city government. The authorities can issue bonds against deals that they're working on, and they can issue bonds that are backed by leases from private companies that are not always 100% taxed, so you can get some savings through financing deals. Long story short, there's a lot of opportunity down the road. It could be a year, it could be 15 years, that we might look up and say, hey, this deal can work if we involve the Commercial Development Authority. And some that we might look at in Fort Payne's market, specifically related to the new 4% lodgings tax that we might be looking at, is hotel development. As you mentioned, a couple of them have come down. We're losing some in the market. Before that, there was already demand for additional rooms. But depending on where the property is and what the location is and the financing structure, maybe we involve the Commercial Development Authority. They can do downtown property assembly, and then they can also be involved in recruitment for other publicly controlled sites like shopping center developments and things of that nature. So my general recommendation is to consider not just dissolving it because it's been inactive for 10 or so years, but maybe take a fresh look at keeping it on the books, making it available as a tool that we can use when it makes sense in a deal that the city wants to see happen.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you for sharing that.
Yep.
Any questions of Brett? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor, do you
No, We,
Okay.
you know, Brett and I had a conversation over the weekend, so.
Okay. All right.
Gentlemen, I think the last thing we need is another board. I think there, you know, we got a possible litigation going now from this board that we're not able to talk about right now. And I just don't think we need, I don't think we need to keep it.
I mean, it's been sitting there for 20 years inactive. I mean, it's not eating anything. I mean, if it gives us opportunity down the road, we're not talking about manning it again and bringing it up to speed, are we? We're just talking about just continuing like we're doing, just like it is, not, you
We
know.
don't have any members on it, right?
I know, but what I'm saying is if it's there, we don't dissolve it, then if an opportunity like Brett said arises, we can reappoint folks to that and get it going again to access it and use it. Or are you thinking we go ahead and do that? Is that what you're thinking we're gonna do?
No, I think with the 772 and the city council take action on what needs to be done and cut the middleman out of it. I just don't see having a board that's inactive on the books. You know, what are the qualifications gonna be? You know, we're gonna have to restructure the whole board because we don't know how it was set up.
And I felt like that myself prior to talking to Brett and talking to Chad. We've got the bylaws of the board and why it was established. And yes, with all the terms being expired, the city council would reappoint or appoint the new members. So I'd be more in favor of keeping it based on what Brett has shared, the future economic development possibilities that it could be used for based on those cities that have used this board. And we could reappoint the full board, and we could use the guidelines that this council has established for board appointment. We can go through the interview process, applications, phone interviews, in-person council interviews, and just appoint 5 people on that board and do in staggering terms. Because according to that bylaws, it was 2 and 4 year terms. So we could do a couple members initially for 2 years and then some for 4. We could stagger it, and I just think we'd have a better control over it. They could meet as little as once annually just to meet as far as finances, because there are some funds in their account that they're able to use. They can't spend, and this is important for the city to know, they can't spend anything. They don't have the authority to spend anything outside of what they have in their fund, which currently is in the low 40,000s.
I believe it was 42 grand or something.
42,000, which a lot of money to me, but to a board like that to do economic development, it's not, that's pennies. So they would still have to go before the city to do anything economically. So
But-
we got different opinions.
Yeah,
so-
I would say let's say we decided to keep it, we don't man it until we need it, right? Like, we don't want to just appoint people to meet for no reason,
That was.
Well,
what I was-
they're-
right? I
then the people that are on there, even though their terms are expired, Chad, he might want to speak to this, but their positions can't be just done away with unless we reappoint.
Yeah, typically, even though their terms have expired a decade ago and it's sat dormant, they're still the members until their successors are elected and qualified. So
I think that's
So
key.
we don't have to appoint anybody though.
You don't have to, but I think we would want to.
I mean, but.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have a hard time. We've already got we've got Economic Development Board, we got Main Street, we got, you know, and that just adds something else that.
when they're not,
It would be, the people would be removed, you know what I mean? They count on us to make a lot of those decisions.
and they're not
That's
paid,
just
they're not
another
paid
layer.
though. Like, we're not
It's an
spending
unpaid
any
board.
money to.
And that's who's currently on there. One is deceased. And there's. Not on this.
Can I add something just about the compare a board that is active that's similar in structure? This was set up after the state law that created the opportunity for industrial development boards, which the city of Fort Payne has, a Fort Payne Industrial Development Board. It has continued after Amendment 772. It hasn't done a lot of projects, but it has been active. As a matter of fact, we found some legal work, some bows that needed to be tied up that I've been looking into about property in the city that they had done deals on 20-plus years ago. So it was good to have a board that, in the Fort Payne Industrial Development Board, it's fully appointed. Mr. Eberhart, Steve Eberhart's the chairman. They meet once or twice a year as needed, really to look at the bank accounts, make sure they're updated on what's going on in economic development around the city, and sometimes talk about, there are a few pieces of property they own that are small in acreage right now. They have an attorney, Nikki Scott's their counsel, and they have even less money, I think, probably than the Commercial Development Authority has available to them. And that's really their only expense, as far as I know, is probably a couple hours a year of legal fees. So, but it's great because I'm actively having conversations, competing for site selection projects where they're looking for existing buildings. And we don't have a whole lot of great modern manufacturing setups for existing buildings. But what an industrial development board can do is build a building, lease it back to an industry, and then work a deal that their lease payment pays the note, so it's effectively a pass-through, and at the end of the lease term and the note is paid, the land and the property goes back to that industry. Similar situation with commercial development authorities. Those were created for commercial projects that are not just industrial. So you might have a small startup software company that wants to get into the tech business, whatever it may be, or a retail enterprise. But I just mentioned that because it's a similar concept where there's a board existing, active members of the community. They meet once or twice a year just to stay connected so that when a development is ready, they can execute. They don't have to start looking around for, well, who's keeping the records? What attorney do we call? You know, they're ready. So that's the only thing I have. Yeah.
Why can't,
Go ahead.
well, I just say, why couldn't they do what this board was doing? Why couldn't we fold those responsibilities in?
There are some nuances to the tax benefits that are available through commercial development authorities and the bond abilities that are available to commercial development authorities versus industrial development boards. They were all created by separate statutes in separate eras of the state for separate purposes. And so there are some cases where one makes more sense, is more advantageous than the others. So that's why a lot of cities around the state they actively use their industrial development boards, and then others use their commercial development authorities more frequently.
So my point, and I see a lot of value in our planning commission and what they do to support the council and bring things to it and put the work into it, like we mentioned to Nick earlier. So am I off in saying or stating that the commercial development authority could kind of mirror what the planning commission does as far as development coming into our town? They could vet things and do research on it and then ultimately bring it to us work together? Or am I
think they could. You could establish a culture and a relationship where they advise, you know, hey, here's a project coming in. We've looked at the details of it as far as the ROI analysis and things of that nature. If it's one that's going to ultimately be a strict 772 agreement, then at that point, it's the council's decision to act on.
exactly?
Unless it makes sense for that entity to hold the real estate, and then it's a joint effort between the Commercial Development Authority and the city through 772.
Okay.
Do you see a large development wanting to use the development board? I mean, why would they go to that versus coming straight to the city council especially with the confidentiality agreements and things we have to?
Usually they do start with the city or really, you know, a professional economic developer on staff or like our office. And then it gets to that point of, okay, we have a mechanism that's attached to the city that makes this make sense. Let's talk to the board leadership, get our attorney involved, and see if we can put the paperwork together. So usually it starts with the city. City's involved in almost every step of the process. Just the official vetting of a lease agreement or a bond that's issued through them would be voted on by them.
So were in the old day, and I know this before everybody else, were we funding that or feeding it in any way? I know a lot of times, I'm sure, put money in there I mean, these guys aren't gonna put their own money in. I mean, they have to get it from somewhere, and I know they can leverage certain bonds and that kind of thing because of the group they are. They're afforded different things than we are as a city. I understand that, but they've gotta get money from somewhere. Were we putting,
No.
are we, or
No, we're
would
not
we
currently.
be expected
Not
to?
now. We're not now.
I think, and I was discussing with Todd and Brett earlier, but I think the money that's in there, number one, part of it is an outstanding check for Lowe's deal, of course. The other part is probably was what they put in there to start that account, and it's just been sitting there for 20 years collecting interest. I mean, and it may have started at 20 grand.
Who
or
put in
25
there,
grand.
that board or the city?
I mean,
It'd have to be the city.
Yeah.
you know,
The
I
board
don't know
I
has
if
mean,
the
you can't
city,
start with nothing and expect to entice a business. I mean,
it could
they're
have been a
gonna have to
donation to that
build
board.
up capital in order to make these deals do, because they gotta pay in a term. And there's a lot of pieces, I mean,
Yeah, it depends on what the city's goals are. And cities that have active commercial development authorities are usually appropriating a little bit of money every year. But I think, I don't know, but I think what probably happened here is they struck a deal that said the commercial development authority could be the vehicle that actually is in a lease agreement with the property owner, right? And then all the parties that agreed to the deal pay into this, so that revenue that's coming in is actually part of the deal. That makes
Right,
sense
yeah,
as far as who owns the property or
think-
has the lease agreement.
yeah, I think that's the only way they could make the deal happen 20-plus
It-
years ago.
Yeah,
I'm sure that was probably the reason it was put together in the first place, and I'm not privy to that information, but it only makes sense to me that the council wouldn't take, wouldn't invest in a group of guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they could have done it themselves.
Right,
Like
yeah.
we can now.
yeah, traditionally, you, like I say, you start up with an appropriation coming from the city, even if it's one time or a small amount annually, or it's land that's donated that then can be turned into a lease revenue, or they can sell it and have revenue to start up a deal fund, if that makes sense. So
Right.
it can be every version of that. Or it
I
can
just
be-
feel like that's another, I mean, I don't know, I think that we probably need a work session. I mean, I wouldn't be ready to vote to keep it or do away with it tonight. I guess in lieu of what you've mentioned, about it could be beneficial for us, but I'm not sure that I wanna get into having to, send money to it every year when we got you guys, Main Street, and, what comes through you. How much of a benefit would it be to your group or, to the other, or even to us? I mean, like, what would be the differences? Like, what can they do that you can't do or that we can't do?
They can issue bonds that aren't on the city's books. They can commit to leases that on behalf of the city. There's several different paths that they can take that you could do or I could do, but depending on the deal, it wouldn't make sense for me to do or for y'all to do as the council. And it's kind of a broad statement, but again, a lot of times it's hotels. That's a big one that sometimes it's either the land is a ground lease or the building is built and there's a lease relationship and an operator relationship. But at the end of the day, nothing says you have to do anything as far as financial investment into it. And I'm not necessarily advocating that. As far as the cost of the city to keep it on the books and have it available as a tool, I think it harms no one. It doesn't cost anything unless you decide to invest into it. But the benefits of taking it off the books, I don't think it really benefits the city in any way. It's just my personal perspective. It takes away a tool. It's a rusty tool, but it takes away a tool in our toolbox that we could put on the table to make a deal happen. And
Grant, historically, say for the last 10 or 12, 15 years, we're not funding this anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean.
So it's not costing us anything.
Even from my time as an auditor and then, my 4 years here
And
as treasurer.
If I understand what Dr.
we've
Brett,
never-
if I understand what he's saying is if we leave it open and there's certain aspects come through that it would benefit us, it's still not costing us anything.
Correct, right. I mean,
Chad, are we not responsible for, if this board or any board that we appoint, are we not ultimately responsible for the bond that they issue?
They are specifically allowed to do their own thing. That's part of the reason why it was done this way back in 2002. Now, this was done prior to the 772,
Right.
so, but they're a completely separate entity as it relates to that. So they couldn't bind the city based off of something that they do, no, sir.
But if it came up that maybe there's grant money available that's not available to the city that would be available to them, and we have no members whatsoever on it, then by the time you restart that, you're behind the ball.
Yeah.
Or if you, put qualified people on there with the understanding it's basically a defunct process or the defunct board, but it's there, kinda like the old hammer in the corner over there. If we need it, it's there. It may be rusty, but it's here. But it's not costing us anything to keep it.
Right, but ultimately, they would make the decision, you know, where, as it is right now, you know, we're elected by the people, and people put a lot of confidence in us, they wouldn't have voted for us, right?
Correct.
Well, you know, ultimately, we have the say in what hotel or what we go after, whatever's brought to us. That board would add another layer that we wouldn't necessarily have near as much input in from that standpoint. If we had, you know, I obviously would love to put great people on there. Does that make sense? But still, that's another layer between the people and us. You know what I mean, as far as getting what they wanted, maybe. I don't know. That's just a thought.
They also have nothing to negotiate with currently. They have no, you know, they have very limited money and no land, you know.
Right.
If there was a deal like you're talking about where we needed to get them involved, it would be either coming from us or from whoever's building a hotel or whatever. They have nothing to negotiate with currently to strike a deal, period.
Right.
And to reiterate my support for leaving it after hearing from Brett, my support would not include funding it from the city, from our budget.
Right.
So I'm only in favor of it as being an entity that's already in place. We can reappoint new members to it. It's a non-paying board, and they're there for in the future to help us as a city. So that's where I came from. But I think we're at the point, we're able to vote on this, even being new business, Chad. We're able to vote on this tonight. So as far as the dissolution, we need a motion to either dissolve this or to continue with this board.
Motion to dissolve.
Motion to dissolve by John. Is there a second?
I'm personally torn. I just think, to me, if you could just leave sleeping dogs lie, I don't think we need to go and reappoint a bunch of new people if we don't have a plan. But I don't like the idea of completely dissolving it either if we might need it. So that's just kind of where my head is.
Every chance I get to peel a layer of bureaucracy out, I'm voting for it.
I'm not in favor of it remaining and the expired members on it continuing.
Good point.
So, also, while I'm not in favor of funding it from the city, if we kept it, which that motion didn't get a second, but if we kept it, I would be for part of that process is reappointing the members, putting new members on there, so. Do we have another motion, since this one didn't carry?
I personally would like to move it for further discussion.
You make a motion to move
Well, I'm just saying,
to postpone
I'm not
this?
ready to vote or make a motion.
Okay.
I would have to look at it more. I think more research could be done or whatever discussion. We just got Brett's stuff, yesterday? And I read most of it, but I don't
Just
think
put
it,
the
like I said,
form of the
something.
So we
Put the
have,
form of the motion.
the motion by John to dissolve did not get a second. The motion by Richard would be to postpone it to a further meeting to vote on. Is that correct?
Well, not necessarily. Do we need further discussion? I was just asking, do we need further discussion? Do we need, y'all talking about having a work session. Is this something we need to talk about more, or just because we brought it up tonight, does it mean we have to have a motion and have to vote?
We don't have to,
What
because
kind of urgency are we?
the first motion didn't carry.
Right.
Hadn't done anything for 20 years.
Mr. President, I think what Rich, you can always make a motion to table it,
Okay,
and that
well,
just takes it off for tonight's purposes, but it can
Yeah, we
be
can
brought
move
back
on,
up.
because, we're just kicking
Yes,
the same can back and forth.
Okay,
So,
Thank you.
I'd make a motion to table.
motion by Richard to table it. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, but I more than likely will not be here the first, if that's the Tuesday, so we need to go one past if you want everybody here.
Okay.
You see what I'm
Well, I
saying?
think to bring it back up, you have to have a motion to bring it back off the table.
Gotta have,
anyway.
yeah.
So we could be done at any time,
Anytime we
next
want to.
meeting or 2, 3 meetings down the road or
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, I think it's fair, if we have a big, robust commercial development plan, then let's kickstart at it then. But we don't right now.
Well, I think what Dr. Brett explained earlier, if we wait till if you need the hammer
Right.
behind the door right now and it's not there, we don't have it. And it would be a moot point.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost us anything to keep it with new members.
Is that a motion to table?
We got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, let's do a roll call so that all those in favor, Richard, you made the motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 All right, so it's unanimous. We will table that. At this moment, the Commercial Development Authority discussion, we will table that until a further date. Okay, we have a new business license application. So this is in your notes at the address of 212 Galt Avenue North in Fort Payne. This is
It's the Rusty Barrel Building.
Brooks Publicity is the legal business name. Is that correct, Brandy?
That is correct.
Okay. And the name and phone number, Vivian Brooke Dobbins. So what is the purpose of applying for the business license? Yeah, mine's the pink one. It's toward the back, 4 tabs in. Is Ms. Dobbins present tonight? Brandy, from having received the application, do you have any information on this?
From everything that I read, it was to bring it before y'all, and then we give a right to her to come and speak to y'all if it's confirmed or denied,
Oh, the
or
tab
if it's
is big
denied. Am
colors.
I right about that? So, the purpose of bringing it to you all is to either approve or deny. I think that there was some concerns, maybe from the ordinance department or police department, to that, this, due to the circumstances of what we just went through with that particular
Agreed.
address and the employees that were there, and I don't wanna say too much.
Is this, so this is the current, or was the existing Rusty Barrel location business? And Brooke Dobbins has applied to have a new business license issued. Would it be to reopen the same business
Under this new name,
under a new name? Brooks
Yes.
Publicity.
yes.
My understanding is she was the manager at the Rusty Barrel.
My question was, should an employee at the Rusty Barrel during this
To my
other?
knowledge, yes, I did, yes, to my knowledge.
Any familial tie to the previous owner?
I cannot answer that.
Okay.
Has she-
You want to speak, Chief?
Only thing I wanna add is, there was possibly prior knowledge of what was going on. Law enforcement was never notified by anybody till the near end. So this has been going on for a while. That's my understanding that several folks knew it inside the establishment. And I can't say any more than that, but yeah, that's my concern is, you know what's going on. Nobody took a step forward to, until the end to rectify this.
Okay.
On top of that, let's say this court case plays out and the guy's innocent, found innocent. We've given away his business. Right? Right, Chad? I mean, in essence.
Yes, sir. Two different issues, though, whether they're allowed to operate a business versus a standard of beyond a reasonable doubt in a criminal proceeding. So, two different standards of proof, but yes, sir, you're right.
Make a motion?
Yeah.
Motion to deny?
Motion to deny by Mike Grant.
Second.
Second by John Smith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so it is unanimous that this license, this business license application has been denied. Now, with that being said, you mentioned that we will allow them a,
Notify,
do they have a hearing?
I will notify the applicant, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, I was just looking up the ordinance. The ordinance deals with the steps that are to be taken
Okay,
from this point forward.
okay,
If they choose, right? They might not want to
Correct.
proceed with anything
If
else.
they choose, once they're notified,
Right.
the ball's in their court as far as what to do next.
Okay.
And the ordinance outlines that, and Brandy's on top of it. So.
okay. So between the two of you could update us with an email on that. Thank you. All right, the next ones, some of these dealt with weather. So special event requests, City Park, if you remember in the last meeting, gentlemen, August 4th, CED Mental Health asked to present a free movie in the park, Inside Out 2. The original date approved by the council was August 7th, 2026. They have requested to reschedule this due to weather, rained them out, to September 13th, 2026 at 6:30 PM for the Inside Out 2. So how would the council like to proceed with that?
Is it okay, Chief? No,
No
Chief, no
conflict?
conflicts?
That's what no.
Looks like a Sunday night, right?
It is, and it's the week prior to Boot Days.
It's a Sunday night.
With Chief's permission, then motion to approve.
Okay. Motion by Mike to approve this. We have a second by Richard. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same? So carried. All right, second special event request of the city park, and this one was decided upon in the last meeting as well. Sisters of Strength, they were looking to give prayer, giving away water, give away crackers. It was originally scheduled and approved by the council for Tuesday, September. No, we don't have the original date it was approved for.
So it was approved, but they weren't notified in time for them to actually have it, so they put in another request for September the 11th.
Okay, so they have, they didn't have a date previously, so they have asked for Tuesday, September 11th, 2026, from 1 to 3 p.m. Do we have a motion to accept this request?
Motion.
Motion by Mike,
Second.
second by John. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same. So carried. All right, that being all of our new business, do we have any other business we need to discuss? Gentlemen? All right, then before we adjourn, and we'll do that later, we need a motion to enter into executive session. During our executive session, there'll be no action taken. So we have an executive session to discuss economic development tonight. So I need a motion to enter into executive session.
Motion.
Motion by Richard,
Second.
second by Bo. Need a roll call vote. You're a
Yes.
yes? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, unanimous. We will enter into executive session. Thank you all for attending tonight. I know that was lengthy, but a lot was discussed and taken place, so thank you for coming.
5-minute break.
Yeah, 5-minute break, and we will reconvene in here
Because I'm about to bust.
at 7:15.